My first FOMC meeting in 3 years, maybe 4 years. I definitely missed that. They cut rates again. It's not a surprise at all that Jerome Powell wanted to have a Santa Claus rally right before the holidays. So he's being very generous, per usual. We got a pretty busy week ahead of us. We have on Tuesday the ADP early employment numbers coming out, or this the weekly employment change, excuse me. We have retail sales coming out. We have um why do we have non-farm employment change on Tuesday? Where's NFP then? I'm so confused. Okay. That government shutdown really got him confused. FOMC member Waller is speaking on Wednesday, due to speak at the Economic Outlook at Yale University CEO Summit. I'm going to be watching that for surely because I am a CEO. We have CPI, we have annual CPI numbers dropping on Thursday. Big news there. Obviously, going to be all eyes on any changes in inflation. It's been a big topic to grade Donald Trump's credit score or credit card. What is it called? Report card for the year. If you're going to grade Donald Trump on a set of metrics, inflation was one of those things that number one, he really had blamed on Joe Biden, calling it Bidenomics and calling it Joe Biden's inflation and all the high prices. And on the other side, he's been promising that the tariffs will not have a significant impact. Oh, markets are dropping pretty aggressively here. Oof. Well, you win some and you lose some. But I still believe we get this pullback to the higher time frames. Now I got way too many fibs. But on the higher time frames on the daily, oh, see, I messed up this entire markup. Be patient. Honestly, I still think that we have a chance for this thing to rebound back up for a retest, and so we could close potentially in profits here. Give that about 5 more minutes. It's still pretty early in the session. So CPI going to be a pretty big deal, especially this annual CPI number. We have unemployment claims coming out on Thursday, which I'm pretty sure is just weekly claims. Core CPI is dropping as well. So we have CPI on the monthly, core CPI on the monthly, and then we have revised consumer sentiment. So whenever you guys see the word revised, it means that there was an estimate that came out at some point of what they kind of a rough idea of what they thought the numbers were. Then they were adjusted, and then later, once we got all the rest of the data starts coming in, then they get revised later. And so the revised numbers are typically the most accurate and typically the ones that the market will use to make decisions in the long term. Okay. Pretty busy week ahead. Today, nothing much, but tomorrow is when the fun starts. We'll be here live first for that as well. Good to see you guys again. It's been a while. Price is back up above the 88.6. Now it's back in profits. What you would do is you would start to close partial profits. Okay. And you would kind of just allow the better of those positions to sit. And yeah, now you have a much better entry. You can de-risk the trade, of course. And then as soon as the market breaks above not your middle entry, but the first entry, then you can close. I mean, you could close partials all the way through now, but you can kind of use those zones to sort of de-risk your trade. Every time it hits my middle entry, I can take some partial profits or close or de-risk. When it hits my first entry, I can do the same, etc., etc. You guys get the drill. Welcome back, everybody. If this is not your first time on the stream, it's welcome back. It's good to see you guys. Yes, I'm alive. That's all I got. If you guys are here for the first time, welcome to the Chart Addicts live trading streams. We cover markets, we cover market news, data releases, and just, of course, live trading. If you guys have any questions, keep them to yourself, unless you're on the Zoom call. All jokes, you can still ask. I am about to answer them. But also, make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe so the other squeebs sitting on YouTube right now watching somebody blow their account or watching somebody with a broker deal sabotage an entire PAM account somewhere just so they can reap the benefits of all those lot rebates that they're going to make by blowing the account, and everyone's watching them and dick riding them and giving them an audience, and then they just boom, your money's gone. That's option number one. Option number two is that you guys can usher them here to the right side of this, and you can be a good friend. Okay. Those are your two options. Welcome back, everybody. We are live on YouTube. Yeah. I don't think some of the people on YouTube liked that part where I was talking about keep it to yourself and whatnot if you have questions. No, I meant it. I meant that. Like from me to you. I mean it. All right. I need to go upstairs and get some coffee, but instead of just leaving you guys be without any entertainment, and instead of me not watching the fruits of my trade play out, I'm going to take you guys on an adventure with me. We, ladies and gentlemen, are going on a little adventure. Okay? We're going to go get some coffee together. Now, hopefully, the stream is high quality enough and my connection is decent enough that it's going to sustain. But who knows, right? Potatoes, potatoes. We hope for the best. Okay, here we go. Yes, I unplugged this thing for 2 seconds. It already says low battery. What does the world come to, people? Oh, but my laptop charger is right here in the kitchen. What a beautiful world. All right. 2 seconds. I'm gonna be watching this thing while I am making this call. Yo, is my camera following me around? That is weird as hell. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Yes. So what's going on? What's on y'all's mind? Roy, did they cut the heat in your house? No, bro. First off, rude. Second off, I was outside taking a phone call, enjoying a spliff. Look at the time. I said, "Oh, by golly, I got to get my ass back inside." And so you know what I did? I rushed back in, not for myself, but for us. Did I have time to take off my jacket? No. I have my hands in my pockets, making it look like I'm kind of cold. A little. It's freezing. I just got back from Colombia. It's 22 degrees or something here. It's like 40, but it's the same shit, 20, 40. Basically, if it's not 60 degrees, right, it's too cold. But people die in this weather, man. Men have caught hypothermia for less. So yeah, I'm keeping myself safe, bro. This is important cargo, man. Okay, make sure you guys drop a like and a subscribe if you guys are on YouTube. Throw out this link to a friend or two. Here's what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna post this up in the public chat. Boom. Ooh. And you know what I'll do actually is I'm gonna post this up on IG because that should help. Yo. So what's up, guys? How's everything going in your life? Yo, YouTube doesn't even show our live stream on my own homepage, and I'm a subscriber and I have my notifications turned on. Yo, crazy enough, we are at 88,400. 88,400 subs. That means that we are 200 subs away from being at 88,600. There might have to be a massive giveaway. There might have to be a massive giveaway at 88,600 people. That's the 88.6. That would be crazy. All right, sorry guys. Just posting this up on IG. We got, there we go. Beautiful. Okay, now we let that sit. Coffee's ready. Beautiful. Where's the color? Yo, this camera thing is really following me around. This is crazy. Yo, no way. I start bobbing and weaving on this camera. Okay, sorry guys. I'm a little distracted here. Boom. Let me know if you guys have any questions. If there's anything economically that you guys want to discuss today, please let me know. Forever hold your peace.
Making a double bottom at the 88.
You said a double bottom at the 88?
Yeah, I had it drawn it from from wick from the wick.
Yeah. That's that big black line right here.
Is it? I can't tell.
That's my higher time frame 88. So yeah, we literally have beautiful double bottom right here. And it's 88.6 from the smaller time frame one. I just want to see this rejection up, right? And then from here it could crash or keep going up. I want to see it all the way back up here for the retest. 2 seconds. Make a house call. Okay, let's just pretend that that's real. Yeah, Giordano, that's what I'm talking about. Except you got to go down to the smaller time frames to find the true lows, which I'm assuming is what you did. Let's be honest. Hold on. The true body of the low. This has already been retested. It would have to be here. Hmm. I mean, it's pushing it. It's getting a little aggressive. Let's be honest. I say a little aggressive. I mean, this is not a good look. Once it fills the wicks, typically not the best sign. We still want to be patient until it fully violates the double bottom, but typically not a good sign once it fills that wick. Little soldiers. I don't know what this Jamaica house coffee is, but this shit is gas. See if it gets the job done, people. More one. Okay. back. Coffee is in hand. Granted, this cup is full. All right, let's see what we got. Like a fucking maze over here. All right. Du- 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 du. Okay. Omi, who's this guy? Look at, hold on, no. People gotta see. They gotta see.
Where you get that at?
Yes, sir. Look at, oh, tough. I thought it was a music video for a second. I thought that was the hottest selling album of the year.
He said, "We're all in this together."
No, that's not where I was going. I was trying to big you up, bro. You went high
He
school
said,
music.
"Raindrop, drop top."
It's too late, bro. You just started singing high school musical. We're cooked.
Yeah, this thing is dropping.
He said, support me, guys. Support you with what? Yo, I got the naughty. Yo, y'all better stop saying dumb ass shit in these comment section. I will jump into the comment section and beat somebody's ass. All right? Omi,
Ooh,
do I have to put on my customer service voice?
no,
Okay,
not
good.
today, not on Mondays.
Yeah, he said, yo, support me, guys. This better not be an OnlyFans plea, woman. Just saying that on a side note. Yo, Chartaddicts members, besides Giordano, does anybody else have a markup that's plausible? Who else has a trade idea that you guys are watching? Because it's always important to remember that because we are now all trained snipers in the Chart Addicts chat, everyone might have a different perspective.
Oh,
Every,
oh.
bro, it's brutal. It's getting brutal. It does not look good. That's why I paper traded
Hey,
this because I'm waiting for the shorts. I'm waiting for these shorts up here.
good morning.
I'm waiting for these shorts, man. It's just 88.6. Delete all these extra fibs. Whoa. One too many fibs deleted. Delete that fib. Get rid of that shit. Oh, get rid of that. Go ahead and delete this. Don't need that. Do you see what I'm saying? Like we had a perfect, if we look at from the very, very top of this bearish impulse to the bottom, we draw our fib from the body down to the wick. We have a beautiful, how many rejections do we have at the 88.6? We had one sell. That's for about, guys, this is 250 points each time it hit because the top of that range is about 860. And then at the very, very bottom, every time it rejected, it came down to about 560. That's 300 points every time the market rejected the 88. Every time the market rejected the 88, it did it 3 times. This time, it dropped all the way to 300. So from 800 down to 300, that's 500 point drop. And then this last time, that was the last and final one. Now, whenever the market does an aggressive reaction off of that kind of key fib level that we trade, typically what I like to look for is that correction back up to the 78.6 for the retest. And that's usually the perfect retest. And I'm still very confident that we're going to get that. I know a lot of people are like, but Roy, it's crashing through. It doesn't look good. Look this and look that. It doesn't feel good. You think if I'm fucking trading off feelings, I would still be around? Y'all think if I was trading off feelings, I'd still be alive? No. No, sorry, Bob. All right. Theoretically, in this paper trade scenario where I'm completely hypothetically trading in this hypothetical simulated environment, I'm taking another trade, hypothetically. What we'll do is we'll actually draw the fib from the lower time frame body to the lower time frame or to the lower time frame wick, have the extension level set. About 30, about 40 points away from current price. Take profit still the exact same. Entry at the double bottom. And that would be a potential re-entry that I would take. People, if you guys are watching this at home, I am simulated trading this. I'm waiting to live trade the shorts all the way up here. Okay, so we're about 500 points away from those short entries. And so instead, I'm paper trading this and simulated trading this on TradingView for the viewing pleasure of everyone at home and beyond. Right? It just hit the double bottom on Nas. I got in again. Giordano, not a bad idea. The most important thing in these scenarios is risk management because if you go too heavy on the first one, you're going to be forced to go lighter on the second trade because let's say like you burned the first trade. So if you do it the other way around, if you usually put a tester entry in, then you can usually go heavier on the better entry. Like once it drops and you're kind of in drawdown or whatever, you lose the first trade. If it was a tester, if it was a small position, then typically you'd be able to sort of get out with no, unscathed, right? Flush wound. You want to save your ammo for those better entries. Now, if you go too heavy on the first one and then you start to kind of go lighter on the second one because you're like, oh, I just burned so much money. I'm not going to risk as much on this next one. If it does win, you're not going to make your money back. That's the kind of like the nefarious nature of risk and reward. So instead, keep it all consistent or put the testers in first. And then if you get a better opportunity, you can kind of put in a full position. Does that make sense? Put a one if that made sense. If you go too heavy early, you won't have no ammo for when the trade really pops. If you go light early, you'll still give yourself a chance to re-enter if there is another opportunity, which in this case there is not. Time to close out that trade and try and, in time to sort of just wait for the market to reset here. This was well worth the try. We have a beautiful area here of resistance became support. We have a beautiful area of support here, support, and then all these rejections. We did have a break and a bullish closure above the previous highs. Everything really was pointing to a potential continuation back up for a retest. But every once in a while, the market will break back into these ranges, and it's just the nature of trading. So now, when in doubt, you zoom out, you kind of look at what the market is providing. And I'll kind of give you guys a little secret here you guys can take to the bank with you. For trading in general, this is going to be relevant no matter what you're trading or when you're trading. Markets typically move in twos. So if you ever see a massive drop like this, typically you will have an equal massive drop happen again. Typically, the markets move in twos. So if I go down to the smaller time frames and let's just say I measure this right here, if I was to copy and paste, what I actually need to do is get up to the 1 hour time frame, 4 hour. So this is the bearish move right here. There's a tool here that actually helps you measure this equal size move. And in traditional technical analysis terms, it's called the A to B, C to D relationship. It's one of these drawing tools here that lets you map out waves and patterns, A, B, C, and D. So I would start at the consolidation range because this big green candle that came up, like I'm gonna have to try this from a few different angles. I'm gonna try it from the very, very top of the impulsive move, but also because this was kind of like a pretty weird blimp on the higher time frames, there was a massive gap that hadn't been filled. I want to use the bottom of that gap as sort of my resistance because that's like a real anchor point. Whereas this ghost gap, this area where there has not been a rebalancing of price, doesn't really have any confirmation there that that is the high. Like wherever the structure starts back up again, if there's a massive gap and the market opens over the weekend or over the session overlaps, wherever the market really establishes next, that's an area of solid confirmed structure. The area that has not been retested from the gap yet, which is this area all the way from the top, to this consolidation, that area has not yet been confirmed. It's not a high probability zone. Okay? I hope this is kind of making sense. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, but you'll go A to B from the first impulse. B to C would be the correction, and then C to D would be the equal size relationship down to the next zone. And it would basically create like a sort of this equal sized move. The easiest thing that you can do is actually just take out. I didn't think that it would have all the dotted lines and stuff. I'm just going to take out an arrow. I'm going to plot it, make it a little bit more visible just so we don't have to struggle to see this thing. And then let's copy and paste this thing down exactly where price is. And you'll see we get about to the second take profit, the 38 zone, right? And so I think that there's a pretty good argument here that if the market's going to continue to drop, we still have another 300 to 350 points in this drop. So if you're looking at a potential retest, just know that chances are it's not coming back today. If it does come back, it'll be on the smaller time frames. You're going to get these smaller time frame kind of pulls into the zone and drop. But I think if we look at this on the higher time frames, I do think that we get this kind of straight bleed to the downside here. Okay. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys are still following along. Put a 2 if you're completely lost, you're confused. Yo, Kinsley deleted the message. I said it better not be some OnlyFans thing, and Kinsley deleted the message. Also, why the fuck is YouTube hiding our stream, people? I don't think that's cool at all. I think YouTube got some splaining to do. Like I own the fucking company. I'm subscribed and I have my notifications turned on. I go to the home page and I can't find my own stream. Somebody tell me. Does that sound deliberate to you? This is completely side note nerd finance talk. But if you guys ever look at the development of society, you kind of see like the Industrial Revolution, you see the productivity growth chart of the Industrial Revolution. Everything lines up with when caffeine was introduced into a society, right? So you kind of see when coffee became like the morning beverage of choice in the US, you kind of just see the growth and success of the Industrial Revolution just go through the roof. So if you guys are not drinking caffeine, are you holding society back? Is the question you have to ask yourself. Are you the problem? Okay. Let's go higher time frame. Let me find a blank chart here so I don't have to keep messing up these charts. Wait. Beautiful. Okay. Incredible. The trade is still valid. I really hate these. I really hate NASDAQ sometimes. I really hate NASDAQ sometimes. But this is why having a paper trading account is really fun because it can kind of just mess around here and kind of try different concepts out, try different strategies out, but you only ever take out your live account when it's a trade that's worth risking live capital on. Even if you're trading props, It's the same criteria. It's like when I look at a trade, if I was to take this, whether it's on a live or a prop or whatever, I would ask myself, is this a trade that I'm comfortable losing money on? Meaning, if this trade was to fail, like not work out, could I justify to myself after the market closes why it was a good idea to enter this trade? And usually, if you're following your plan and it follows all the rules, the answer is yes. However, if you're taking impulsive trades, you'll kind of look back and be like, why did I even take that trade? I should never have taken that trade. There's a lot of regret and sort of like, yeah, it's just regret after the market closes. And so always look at yourself from a hindsight perspective, kind of like a regret minimization framework. This is kind of something I took from Jeff Bezos. Is put yourself at the very end of the scenario after the market closes and ask yourself, which of these two decisions would I rather have made? Like once it's all said and done and the dust settles, would it be closing this trade, holding this trade, cutting loss? It's not about what you feel right now. What you feel right now fucking is irrelevant. Because while you're trading, your body will produce many emotions and the market will sort of induce those emotions out of you in order to get you to make a mistake. The market is kind of like the devil. You know what I'm saying? The devil can't actually like get inside your body and get you to do a lot of dumbass shit. What he can do is convince you that it's all your choice. Kind of put ideas in your head. And that's exactly what the market will do. The market can't actually reach into your account and take your money. What it can do is provide you so many enticing opportunities that are too good to miss, too good to be true. Fill you with a sense of FOMO because the market's moving and it's about to move without you. And these emotions will induce you to do the wrong, will entice you to do the wrong thing. Does that make sense? Right? You have to be in ultimate control when you're trading. And the easiest way to think about this from a non-emotional perspective, from a truly practical and rational point of view as a trader, is put yourself at the end of the scenario and ask yourself in hindsight, which of these decisions would I have rather made in this high stress scenario? Okay? And if you guys are having trouble making decisions in these high stress situations, then this is actually something you should journal, which is how am I reacting under pressure? What are those sort of triggers and warning signs of when I'm about to make an irrational choice? And then you can really start to kind of get in control when you're trading as opposed to the market being in control of you. Okay? Put a one in the chat if that at least makes sense. If you guys are on YouTube, put a one in the chat if that makes sense. Or just don't. Or don't. You could not. Who knows? All right. So we're gonna let that marinate for a little bit. Maybe we can go through some fundamentals or just some overall data. What's been happening with the Trump administration regarding, like, look, there's the beauty of being number one, a financial analyst, and then number two, a trader. The traders, like at least from our perspective, is that not only do we have the full authority to disagree with the totality of the market analysts, right? All of these guys on CNBC and Yahoo and Bloomberg and Bing, right? We have the authority to disagree with them because we have to put our money where our mouth is. So not only do I say, no, you know what? I don't think we're in a recession. I'm going to buy this asset, but we actually have to put money on the line to prove it. Now, on the other side is when you're a data analyst, when you're like an economic analyst or an economist. Look, all of you guys are junior economists watching this. Then you have the ability to look at whatever the news is telling you and make up your own mind as to what's true and what's not. Okay? When there are allegations and accusations against Trump that his policies of these aggressive tariff deals have led to an adverse effect, meaning a rise in prices in the US, then we should be able to check those things ourselves. So that way we don't get led astray. And so that's really what I want to do for like about 10 minutes here on this stream once I go get my charger because I'm getting this warning here. We're gonna do a quick rundown of kind of like the most common home assets, or not assets, most common home goods that are bought at the grocery stores. Let's call it milk, coffee, orange juice, eggs. Let's take a look around the horn and see have prices actually gone up or gone down? That way we can tell if they're trying if they keep saying on the news that Trump has led to an increase in prices, we know it's all political bullshit. If Trump keeps saying that he lowered prices and it was all Joe Biden, we're going to be able to fucking check. And that's the beauty of having the skill set to be able to look through data and actually look at a chart and be able to tell what the chart is telling you. So if you guys will give me just like 2 minutes, I'll be back in just a second and we'll get to it. I got stopped out twice on NAS, but I'm in it on US 30 with a double. Yeah. Look, third time's the charm. At the same time, risk management is the only thing that matters. It's not about how many times you take a trade. Okay. It's about when you do finally win the trade, will you recoup on the losses? Okay. Because there's been plenty of times where I've tried to trade, try to trade, try to trade. And by the time it plays out, I don't even make the money back that I'm supposed to. Right. So just ask yourself on this next trade that you're going to take, which one is worse? Which is a more preferable outcome? If this were to lose, the downside of losing this trade, is that something that I'm willing to accept? If you lose the third one, you have to know that you have to know what that's going to do to your account. On the flip side, if I win this, is it going to recoup for the losses or is it going to be worthwhile for the amount of risk I'm going to have to take? If that answer comes out clean, take the fucking trade, no hesitation. You don't have a choice. If the answer comes out murky, you might want to take a step back and reconsider. Okay. Always look at things from a downside risk perspective first, not how much can I gain from this trade? How much can I seek to gain from this? But how much will I have to risk? How much could I lose if this doesn't go my way? Once you start thinking in the other mode, the how much could I lose if this doesn't go my way mode, you become a much better trader, much better capital manager, and you start to protect your money a lot more. Okay? Guys, I'll be back in just about 2 minutes. We'll go through a full ring of Donald Trump's policies and sort of see if Donald Trump really has improved economic standards or if this is Bidenomics. It's all Biden's fault, and we're still dealing with the consequences. I'll be back in 5 minutes. We'll check back in. On my live account, you guys know that I'm waiting for this correction back up to the higher time frames, and I still stand by that. I still believe we can have a pullback during this session before we get a really, really big short. Okay. Be back in 2 seconds and then we'll analyze the economy. All right, we're back. Let's see what happened. Ooh, beautiful. That's like a nice low recovery. Now I'm going to ask if this is still a good entry. It's like, dude, like this is a shit entry, and it's still pretty decent. But like this was the ideal entry all the way down here. So if you're entering right now, what's going to happen is if the market does start to come down for a little correction, you're just going to be stuck in drawdown for no reason. Like, could it continue all the way up? Yeah. But the goal is not to be in a trade. The goal is to get a decent enough entry that you can take advantage of a good trade. Like, are we still at the lows right here? And this is still technically a pretty decent zone, yes. But like, I would at least like to see a retest of that zone, right? So it's like 30, 40 points. It makes a pretty big difference in how much size you can use. So if it does come down for a retest, then getting in down here would be ideal, as opposed to waiting until the market is like, back up here. That makes sense. Entering late will cause you a lot of problems. It's better to miss a trade than to chase a trade. You guys know the rules. Serious game being given. All right, so then let's go ahead and let's take a look at, dude, what the fuck is going on with YouTube, bro? Okay, fuck this. Nah, we'll keep going. Who cares? Nothing to lose. But we'll take a kind of a look around the ring here. We'll go to the Fed. Let's go to St. Louis Fed, Federal Reserve economic data. Let's take a look at. I wonder if I can just look at CPI orange. I think it was Fred that we were looking at. Maybe it was the Bureau of Labor Statistics. We'll put this up too. BLS orange. Let's just say BLS coffee prices. With the BLS data by subject. That's just coffee. Okay. Here we go. Oh, looks like coffee prices been going up over the last 5 years. August 2025. Looks like we finally had a plateau in coffee prices. Maybe that's why we're invading South America. But it does look like that coffee prices have been going up. Let's look at milk. This is all milk products, dehydrated, evaporated milk, all of it. Looks like that we had a massive increase in Biden administration, and then since Trump's taken over, we've kind of had a flattening of prices. So is it, have we fixed the problem? No. Have we slowed down the problem? I believe so. Let's go ahead and duplicate these. And then let's look at, we did coffee. Let's look at sugar prices. Global price of sugar, average price of sugar, um, US sugar and US city average. Okay, good. All right, so let's see what we got here. Obviously, we can see that because of inflation in general, there's been I mean, like between the 1980s and like let's say the 2008 financial crisis, we didn't really have that big of a jump in inflation. And then you can see like right after the '08 financial crisis, we've kind of just been on this boom. And then ever since COVID, when they printed so many trillions of dollars, that's why the whole world has become so expensive. They bastardized the entire financial system from start to finish after COVID. We look at the last 5 years. Looks like under Biden, not too hot. And it does seem like there's a pretty consistent trend here, which is prices have been going up for a long time, and then they've just started to sort of flatten out. Prices haven't necessarily come down in any of these major categories. However, they do seem to have flattened out, and the rate of change is not as aggressive, which I do think counts for something. If we've been in, like, on this train about to hit a wall, and like we suddenly just slow down for the first time in years, and we actually have a chance here of not hitting the wall, that's worth something, believe it or not. Okay. So we did sugar, we did coffee, we did milk. There's one more thing I wanted to check. It's another big household item that you guys could consider. It's not like orange juice or something. I want to find specifically kind of a grocery. We did milk, eggs. I guess we do like we let's do chicken. Let's do the let's do US chicken prices. Pricers. Odie. Average price chicken breast boneless. All right. Chicken fresh whole. Okay. Let's take a look at the totality here of chicken prices in the US. James, we just did eggs. Also, James, I owe you a text back, but I have not forgot about you. But we already did. Oh, we haven't done eggs. You're right. Dude, what am I thinking? US egg. This is the one that basically made Trump's presidency. All urban consumers, meat, eggs, poultry. No, we'll just do the regular one. Holy moly. Okay. So this one, I feel like they deliberately focused on because you can see that the price of eggs was just going ballistic. And then when Trump took office, basically whatever policies had turned around, we brought egg prices back to a normal range. So eggs were like the hottest commodity in the US for a while, but it does look like the Trump administration put extra careful attention towards the egg prices. By the way, the price did rebound on NASDAQ very dastardly. Take some partials if there was a re-entry there. And you can see that the re-entry really is on the break back in that double bottom. So now if the market comes down and creates a new higher floor, there could be a chance for a re-entry here. But the market will have to come down with this red candle currently, and then it'll have to go under the zone and then close back above. The closure back above the previous lows is crucial for whether this trade is going to continue to the upside or not. So we'll check back on this in just a second. But it looks like eggs is the only product that they really have focused on. Let's do US gas prices because that's probably besides shelter. I'm going to look at rental prices here in just a second, but besides shelter, I'd have to say that gas is probably one of the largest. It's shelter and energy, but gas being one of the largest components of a flexible, not a flexible, but sort of like an adjustable monthly budget. Your mortgage typically stays the same unless you have some kind of variable interest rate. Your fixed costs typically stay the same, but all the variable costs, like if gas prices are always changing, if grocery prices are always changing, then you're going to have, some fluctuations there. All regular, all formations, gas prices, nope. I want to see unleaded gasoline, US city average. Beautiful. Oh, looks like the Trump administration is actually on a pretty good note. Looks like bombing Venezuela. Nope. Actually, it looks like it's been flat. Average price of gasoline unleaded regular in US city averages. It's been completely flat since Trump took over. We're back at the same lows. Now, granted, the only reason that gas prices looked good in Biden's administration is because Biden got in some trouble during the inflation crisis, and then he depleted our strategic petroleum reserves, this kind of backup warehouse that we have of oil in case the rest of the world stops selling it to us, that this country can continue to maintain its oil supplies and we can, maintain our energy standard. So Biden depletes it by 50% just to get the prices down. And so I do think there's an artificial nature here to how flat this curve is. But with all the deals with Qatar and Saudi Arabia, with us invading Venezuela, with less war in Russia, you really would think that the gas prices would have come down a little bit more than this. Why the fuck are we in the middle of a war in South America if we're not even bringing gas prices down lower than what Joe Biden had them at? This makes no sense. Okay, NASDAQ is starting to come back down. If we look at the higher time frames here, not very hopeful that we get a full continuation to the upside. However, if you're already in the buys, the trade is still valid until it's not. And so unless the market closes back under these previous lows, then this potential buy move back to the upside is still valid. If you guys are looking for a potential re-entry, that re-entry might be happening any minute now. Okay, so just to kind of summarize this whole point about the Trump thing, or about just prices in general, it seems like there has been a plateau in the prices of most of these major household items. We looked at eggs, coffee, milk, sugar, orange juice. Some of like the likely, we looked at chicken, like some of the more likely sort of grocery items. This is not including sort of consumer. What would you call them? Um, like in the consumer expenditures in the CPCE, excuse me, the price consumer expenditure. They look at a basket of household goods like toothpaste, diapers, soap. They kind of look at like a totality of the most commonly bought household items, and that's a much better measure than CPI, which is sort of like a survey of price, like very selective price increases. So when we look at these kind of major components of people's budgets, and we see that it's actually been flat, we see a little bit of alleviation in this pressure of like having to constantly run to your credit card just to pay for groceries or whatever. But has there been a material improvement in people's standard of living? No. No one has more money in their pockets. Americans still can't afford, on average, cannot afford $400 for an emergency. Prices have not come down meaningfully. They're still exactly where they were about 2 years ago, a year ago, 3 years ago. As we can see, this plateau, it's exactly where we were in 2023 and 2024. I mean, in this case, what is this? Chicken prices are higher than they were a year ago. Gas prices are about exactly where they were a year ago. Um, what is this? Coffee is higher than it was a year ago. It's higher than it's been in 5 years, actually. And so we look at those consumer goods, prices actually have not come down. And so Trump's got a lot of he's got an uphill battle to climb to try to prove to the country of why his policies have not led to a rise in prices and why all of his promises, economically and others, have not been fulfilled. I'm personally disappointed in Trump for a bunch of reasons. Clearly, he's abandoned us entirely when it comes to his non-war policy, not invading random fucking countries, when he said he was going to deport a bunch of criminals. Instead, he's at Home Depot's deporting just honest, hardworking people. Well, he said that he's supposed to be like kind of being the anti-war president and being a peace president. It doesn't just mean don't go start new wars, but also he was supposed to end a bunch of wars. He flexes that he ended eight wars so far this year, which is impressive. Who gives a fuck about Cambodia and Laos? No disrespect to you, I love you, brother. But who gives a fuck about Cambodia and Laos? Who gives a fuck about Pakistan, India? Fucking North and South Sudan are beefing. Now, granted, most of these problems are because of CIA involvement, and we kind of did have a hand in causing these issues, so maybe fixing them is a good thing. But you were supposed to end Palestine and Ukraine. Those are the only two fucking issues the world cares about because we could go to World War III, and that impacts all of us. And so far, those have still not been fixed. Granted, those are tough fucking challenges. But every promise that Trump has made, from reducing the government budget, that hasn't happened. He just took all the money that Elon Musk found in Doge and reappropriated that money into the defense industry. He increased the defense budget by over 300%. They renamed the Department of Defense, which is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be defending the homeland, to the Department of War. So, like, tell us you're a warmonger without telling us you're a warmonger, right? Potential buy entry on NAS right here. This is why you don't want to buy at the high. You want to buy on the corrections. Now that the market is at the correction, there's only two other options. The next candle just kind of flips and crashes, or the next candle flips to the upside, bullish, which is what I think is going to happen. So if there is a potential re-entry, it would be at the lows of all these retracements. Okay, so long story short, disappointment with Trump. And now they have this midterm elections. Oh yeah, also release the Epstein files, the MLK files, the JFK files. None of that has happened. So clearly they've completely fucked us over in almost every promise they had made. We have a really great article on the Chart Addicts website where I have a chart and a table of all the promises that Trump had made regarding the budget and then what's actually happening. Let me show you guys a quick sneak peek here, just to show you how big of a disappointment Trump is. What the fuck? We have a new website, chart-addicts.com. We are working on the chartaddicts.com domain, guys. Give us a second. I think some Nigerian kid bought our domain and they got us, folks. They got us. All right. Some 12-year-old kid from Zambia just got us. All right. Who knew that my biggest enemy, my sole nemesis, would be an 8-year-old kid from Tanzania who bought our domain out of nowhere? Okay. Market impact. Trump's big, beautiful bill exposed. This was May 19th, earlier this year. The second the bill came out. Okay. And so the promises of fiscal discipline mask $1 trillion deficit surge. So the big, beautiful bill was going to add $2 trillion to the deficit. I saw this coming. And basically what I was seeing is my goal, like my suggestion to the government is, if you guys are looking for a framework on what is an appropriate level of spend for the year so that we don't fuck our future generations over, it's take the pre-COVID budget, this 2019 budget that they were trying to reel back in anyways, and use that as your starting ground for what we should get back to. Yeah, none of that happened. Okay. So this is kind of like a rundown of some of the major things that we all expected from Trump that just didn't happen. There was no major Pentagon cuts. The defense spending is increasing by over $1 trillion. There's no elimination of major government agencies. The deficit is exploding because there's going to be tax cuts, but there's no plan to finance these tax cuts besides just saying that the tariffs will take care of it. They won't. Interest payments were still rising. Like, this is kind of on the national debt. Corporate subsidies and loopholes were completely untouched, so there wasn't going to be any meaningful generation of money or any meaningful attempt to cut those corporate welfare programs. And so I put together this chart of promises made, promises kept. The promise was to slash the deficit through deep spending cuts. What the bill actually delivered was an increase in the deficit due to permanent tax cuts with no offset, which will increase about $2 to $3 trillion in our national debt. We looked at the actual national debt number, which was $3 trillion plus. The defense budget had increased by $325 billion. It increased from $690 billion over to $1 trillion. Really? The IRS and the Department of Energy shutdowns? None. There was no shutdowns. Corporate welfare? No cuts to subsidies or corporate tax breaks. Medicaid and SNAP? Reduced via work requirements and tighter eligibility. So they're just making it harder for people to stay on those programs, which for some, probably a good thing. For most, probably no bueno. Okay. Looks like sellers are going to continue to crash this thing down. Just for a side note, I mean, not even the side note, this is the main kahuna. I've been following this as a paper trade. I've been simulated trading this because I'm waiting for this short opportunity. The short opportunity is about 500 points away to the upside, in which case I'm going to have to wait a long time for this trade. I have my alerts set. Do I think the trade's still valid? It could be. But personally, I'm not going to take this trade on my live accounts. The market is clearly rejecting that 88.6 on the higher time frames for my Chartaddicts traders. And we know all I'm looking for is a correction back up to 25,630. If you guys are looking at NQ, then I'll be looking at 25,600. And that's going to be the zone that I'm watching for. Okay. If you guys already took the buys, I do think that there is a potential for the market to kind of flip, but I wouldn't risk this on my live accounts. And so you guys can do whatever you want with that information. Leave that up to you. Okay. If you guys want to check out the rest of this article, I'm going to put the link in the description for the Chartaddicts members. Beautiful. And then I'll put the link in the description on YouTube here so everybody can go and see that Trump got us fucked up. Okay. Be informed, people. People are going to try to tell you a whole bunch of shit on social media. You're going to hear a whole bunch of stuff from your friends who are conservative. You're going to hear a whole bunch of stuff from the mainstream financial news media. And your job is to essentially mollywop them with precision information. Let them know, no, Department of Education got cut. The NIH got cut. I'm actually very happy about these. Let's be honest. These were some positive changes that were made. The Centers of Disease Control. I like this. The CDC is completely bought out. NASA, why the fuck does NASA even exist anymore? Give all that money to SpaceX. Let's get this show on the road. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. We should probably know more about atmospheric changes. And we should probably know more about oceanic, happenings. We know more about space than we do our own oceans, and we don't know dick about space. So maybe we should kind of catch up to the rest of the world and kind of get some scientific, like with the amount of money they cut from all these programs, they just put 10. There's probably about $15 trillion of cuts total, or 15 billion, excuse me. They put 300 billion extra dollars into the defense budget. That's not an increase of 10% or 10x. That's a 20x increase. So all the money they cut from all these science programs and all these medical programs and all these education programs, if you multiplied that by 20, they just added that to the Department of War. Yeah, I'm really on some fuck Trump nowadays, I'll be honest. Trump is a complete retard and has led us down the path. And I don't mean retard in a derogatory sense to folks who are suffering from any spectrum disorders or any sort of, cognitive disability. I mean that to insult Trump in the highest regard. And so I don't know what to say about that. Ladies and gentlemen, happy and safe trading. I think if you guys took the long positions, you're going to be pretty surprised with this. If I don't take a trade live, then that's, you guys do as I do, not as I say. We'll do both. It'll probably lead you the right way. All right, that rhymed. That was amazing. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. Let's take this conversation in the chats. James and a few other folks. I think there's James and Sandra. I got to text you back as well. I owe you guys some messages. James has already dipped out. But I'll catch up with you guys here in just a second. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, drop a like and subscribe. Send this to a friend. Probably the most useful thing that you guys have seen today. So you're welcome. That's all I got to say. Take it easy, y'all. Catch you guys on the next stream. Peace. Gosh darn it. Members, you win some and you lose some. Risk management is key.